Hi everyone, it's Linda from Linda Z's in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and I hope you're ready for your Thursday morning coffee. We have some fun things that are going to be getting you into the excitement of the holiday season. One of the things that we did last year that many of you have seen on our YouTube channel was the Merry and Bright, which is a wall hanging of stars, and it was done on a black background with some wonderful golds and silvers, and everybody that did it said they really had a lot of fun with it. We tried new experiments, and this time I'm going to do something called the Happy Snowman. It's all done in blues. It would be great for Christmas, for Hanukkah, for any holiday season throughout the whole winter that you're celebrating. And it is an OESD program, but I'm going to do something a little bit different than I did before. I am going to break it into the sections like we did in the past. But what I'm going to do this time, because this is really computerized quilting that I think a lot of you really like to do. Many of you asked when we started this program, because I had everything cut out and I had it all done, how do I start the program and how do I actually do the cutting? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to go into cutting, actually showing you how I can do this very quickly. I want to show you the stabilizers and then the colors. And then next week or the next session, we are going to actually get into the sewing of some of the blocks and some of the techniques. I've tried a couple of little different things that I think will give you little tips that are really fun, and I'll start out with some of that. But before I get into it, I wanted to talk about our quilt week. It's known all over the country now. We usually do it in November. This year it'll be the first week in November, but you always have to check when it's going to be. People fly in for it. We have hotels that are very close to our main store. We have a retreat center on our second level, and people love it. We bring in really great quilting stars. They do long arming, free motion, a lot of free motion. Joyce Hughes is going to be with us this year. I think many of you know about her thread painting. She's written quite a few books now, does beautiful work on panels with wonderful threads. There's a whole group of people that are coming in that I think you'll be really enjoy, and it'll give you a different dimension on quilting that maybe you've never had before. So look it up. It's on our website. You can always call us. We will be more than happy to talk to you and tell you about what's going on. So let's get into this one, because I want you to get this finished before the holiday season, or at least for the winter season, because it just will make you, I think it'll make you smile. You might want to put it by your front door or someplace where everybody will look at it and say, wow, that's pretty fun. And I've got a picture of it. Here, Nick, I'll let you put it up here if you can see it. It's called let's see, it's actually called the Happy Snowman, and it's an OESD program. This is a picture that I printed out, so it may not show it quite as close. Are you getting it up real close? Good. Let's see here if I don't want to get it shiny for you. I will have a whole entire quilt that will be showing, but before I do that, what I want to show you is something that I did myself. You see this box over here? This is, I think, the best way to do this. Now, I have got many OESD threads in my isocord threads in my collection, but I bought the box myself. And the reason that I did that, it's all there, it's all put together for you. They even come with, I don't know if I've got this. It's a great little chart that shows you exactly what the threads are. It'll be right in order. You don't have to rummage around and find them. It's just an easy way. And these are thread colors you'll use for a long, long time. When I talk about computerized quilting, you might want to look at this, because this is showing you the different types of blocks that we're doing. I have two of them done that I'm going to show you at the end here. But these different blocks are what we're going to do. And before you get started, I will tell you one of the things that I found out from a lot of my customers, a lot of you that are writing to me, and I love your comments, they've helped so much, is one of the suggestions, and actually it was probably 5 or 6 of you, said, you know, if we started out and just made one block, and then we made 2, and then we made 3, and we never got it done. And doesn't that sound like a lot of UFOs that many of us have? Well, I'll tell you one way that I think is really going to be key for you to get this project done is to start out by cutting all your fabric first. Cutting, I know that's the boring part, cutting all of your stabilizers and your fusibles. So I'm going to talk about that and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I think that will get you, push you a little bit. Once you start the embroidery part, it's so easy after that. So let's start. First of all, the most important part is to pick your background fabric. Now, I have the Kona calendar. I know this is on our website somewhere. And this is just a wonderful thing for you to choose. I actually went and this is called cornflower, what I'm using. I think it's, no, it's, yes, it is. See, these are some of the turquoise that I finally found. And Jamaica would be pretty, robin's egg blue, sea glass. I mean, there's just some really pretty colors. So you choose the one that really is fun for you. That's why I love this calendar. If you don't have one of these, it's a great, and it gives you, I think, like 12 free patterns, which are really cool. What I do, there is a supply sheet. You know, when I get one of these designs, it's the USB design collection that I buy, I will always print them out first because that's how you really will organize yourself. And when I print it out, I look at the supplies. And what I'm talking about here for you, it says 3.5 yards, I think, for the background fabric. And then it says, I don't know, I think 1/3 of a yard for binding. 1/3 of a yard, I think, like I said, is what they call for binding. I don't listen to a lot of that because I like to have extra fabric. I cut out 2 blocks that I'm doing just for you to, you know, have a fun little experiment with some of the stabilizers. So I wouldn't go real close to exactly what they say. There's nothing worse when you're doing a big project like this to come to the last block and find out you don't have enough fabric. So I cut 5 yards of this fabric for myself. I'm going to put the same color that I'm using on the front as the back. Now you could do a different color, but I just think it'll be great for this look. I'm also going to do the same color binding. Now you could put a, you know, some kind of a sparkly binding, so that's totally up to you. But I'm just talking about the fabrics right now that I'm using for this design that I think would work for you. So get your fabric first, your background fabric. Decide what you want to do and buy the backing at the same time. Normally I wouldn't do that, but when you're doing a, a big project like this, you want to have them both together. Now, once you've got your backing, do not pre-shrink it. Normally, I might pre-shrink it if I'm going to be washing it a lot or if I want that crinkly look, but you don't want that for this. This is a wall hanging, and you do not want to have that crinkly look. You want to be able to, I don't think you do. So just get your fabric and, you know, cut it nice big 5 yards or 5.5. I don't know. I almost wish I'd cut. I hope I'm not going to run short. I've got mine all cut out, and I think I should be fine. My backing looked like it might be a little bit tight, but I don't think so. Now, what I suggest you do once you have got your yardage, make sure you get your stabilizer at the same time. I don't know why they're telling you fusible web cutaway only 1 roll. You need 2 rolls. I've already gone through 1. You can see this. And I am not finished with, and this is what I mean by fusible web. It has a, it's a woven fabric, and quite frankly, I haven't found it anywhere else. OESD is the one that has it. It's got a little fuse on the back. It's just a fabulous way of stabilizing the backing. You can kind of see it on here too. That's the fusible on the back. And it looks almost like some stabilizer that you might use for interfacing, but it's different. So don't use your regular stabilizer, and plus it'll be more expensive. So you want to get 2 of these rolls. Then this is another thing. And again, what's the size? I got the, actually this is a 20-inch. You could get a 20-inch or a 15-inch. Either one you will not waste fabric or stabilizer. If you get the 20-inch, you're going to cut, because this design is done in a 5x7 hoop, which is wonderful for people that don't have the great big hoops. So that means that if you do a, like this one, which is 20 inches wide, you're going to cut this in half and you're going to make it 15 inches wide because you need a piece about 15 by 10. If you got the 15-inch width, you're going to only cut it 10 inches and 10 inches and 10 inches. So you will not waste fabric no matter a stabilizer, no matter which size roll you get. The same thing with the next stabilizer. You're going to need 2 of these heavyweight tearaway. And again, OESD is the only company I know that makes it. It is a very, very heavy stabilizer. And when I get into the next session, I'm going to explain to you why the stabilizer is so important to use this kind for this particular design, because it's a little smaller and it could have a tendency to pucker. But with this heavyweight tearaway, we're using 2 pieces for every block, and it will just make a huge difference, and you'll see that when we get into it. Now, I have my mat here. I love the Quilter Select, but I have to tell you, everybody that's out there knows that there is an extreme shortage of product right now, and I'm just very sad about it because I see this happening to many of my students. They didn't get their mats, or, you know, and this one I just absolutely love. We've had them on back order ourselves, I think, for 3 months, and I don't know how soon we're going to get them. This is a great quilt for this kind of a ruler for this kind of project. It's called the Quilter Select. This real long one is real great, but they make a smaller one too. I'm one of the ones that didn't get the smaller. I actually think I lent it to somebody and I can't find mine. And I could really use the smaller one too when I'm doing some of these cuts. But if you don't have it, at least get the big one. I think we finally got some of these in stock, and they've been on back order for at least 3 months. So when you find a stabilizer and some of these products that are available, buy it, okay? Now, the second thing that I want to show you before I get into it is how I cut my strips. And actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna go over to the ironing board. Now, this ironing board looks very high. I'm really not that short. The reason it looks so high is we brought it up higher so the camera could show it. Now, I have cut my strips the 15 inches, and then what I can do, or the 10 inches wide this way, and I'm going to cut them into 15-inch blocks. But before I do that, I always want to press, see this big sharp seam? You definitely want to press that out, and you want to take your iron, and of course I've been talking so much, in the studio, and quite frankly at home, I do the same thing. I always have this on where it will automatic shut off, because then when I walk out of the room and do something else for 2 hours and I come back, my iron is not still on. And it's something you can shut off automatically if you want, but I found that I still keep it on because it really is wonderful. So the steam is not working on this right yet. It'll come on in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually press this, and I'm going to go this way when you're pressing. And the best way to get these marks, these press marks out of your fabric, of course, is with the steam. So when that comes back on, this little button will sound, and then I'll come over there and show you. This one has already been pressed. I'm going to take that ruler and get my own ruler, which it's right here. And I don't really need this pressing at that time. You know, it went back on. Let me go and do it right now. And that way you'll see what I'm talking about. Watch the, I heard that button. Look at that stand. I don't know, can they see the steam coming out of this? It's just amazing. And you want to do what I did just like this first, because you don't want any watermarks on your pressing piece. Now, do you see how that's taking that all out? I mean, it's just amazing what it does. Then I do flip it over, and I do the same thing on this side. It's a good way for you to know which is the right and wrong side. That's one. The press seam, or the pressed, well, the little piece that's sticking up is really your right side. So now, if I measure this, you can see this is 46 inches wide. So I can actually get 3 15-inch pieces out of one strip. So I only cut my fabric 10 inches, and that way I can get 3 of the 15 inches. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make it very economical for you. Now, let me show you exactly what I've done. Get this pressing out of here. And I have put and when I'm quilting, I do not use my lines on my my cutting mat because they're not always totally accurate. But what I do use is I do line them up so they're straight across with this ruler. And I want to cut this 15 inches. And what's so great about this mat is it's 15 inches here, 15, it's marked all the way around in both numbers, which is really easy to find because now it starts here at 1 and it ends here at 15. Or you can go from here to 22. So it's a wonderful, anytime you can find a mat where the same numbers go all the way around, so it doesn't matter which way you put your fabric. You'll have it going 1 to 10 here, or 1 to whatever it is over there. Now, I'm going to take these lines on the ruler, and Nick, I don't know if you can get that up close so they can see it. If you can, I have him moving around here with these cameras today, but I really want to get this, show you how important this is. And I use this wonderful Quilter Select rotary cutter, and the reason I use it, if I just press it down slightly, do you see how I've opened it up? I can close it, open it, close it. It's just very, very easy to do. And if I didn't have this iron so close to me, I could get in here a little bit easier. All right, and so I have the line of the ruler going across the bottom and the top because I've already cut all of these strips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hand down. Now this has a sealing piece on the back of the ruler, so it really is going to hold it, but I still hold it nice and firm. And I see how I just go across, and you can see how nice and smooth that is. So now I have my 15-inch piece, and that's what I have. I have a whole slice of them here. I've done that on there. I've done it on my fusible fabric, and I've also done it on all of my tearaway. And this is the heavy tearaway. I have a whole pack under there. I would suggest once you've cut this tearaway, because see how it's been in a roll? It's going to roll up on you. And put it under your ruler or under your mat or somewhere when you're not cutting, and let it fold out so those rolls come off. Once you've got in the same way with this, you're gonna figure out if you've got a 20-inch or a 15-inch roll, how you're going to cut it so it's the most economical. And then you're going to take this stabilizer over to your pressing. These we're going to cut into the strips. And you're going to take that strip that we already did. You want to put your right side to the bottom, and you're going to take the fusible and put it over the wrong side of your fabric. Now, I don't need steam when I do this. This, I'm just pressing it down. It's not going to hurt if the steam does go on. There's a button on this that I can turn off the steam. So I'm doing that. I mean, it won't hurt it at all, but it just, once it gets real nice and hot, you can see it stabilized real, real good. Get rid of that little drop of water. Okay, so we have a nice, nice fusible piece. Now this is the only pressing that you have to do for your strips, because once you have all these strips cut, and I remember I've got to cut these into 3 more strips. Once you have all those strips cut and you have your stabilizer cut, the tearaway, this is going to go into your hoop, in your 5x7 hoop, and this tearaway is going to go on the back, and you're going to have 2 of these pieces of tearaway. I actually have, and Nick, if they can get this up close, you can see this is a piece that I've cut already. It's got the fusible on the back, it's got the woven on the front, and then there were 2 pieces of stabilizer, and this is where it's interesting. I don't use a lot of the spray products that are out, but I wanted to try this to show you how nice it works. And so I did get the 505. I don't think I have a bottle here to show you, but it's a spray bottle. And I took these pieces of stabilizer and I put it on the box. I don't know if there is one in there or not. I don't think so. And you see how they'll roll up on you? And I just spray it outside. I like to go in the garage or somewhere outside. And then all you do is go like this. Once you've sprayed it, spray it again and take another piece of your stabilizer, which is this piece over here. Let's see if I can grab it so it doesn't. See how they all rolled up? That's what you want to avoid. And then you're going to spray the second one down like that. And that's how you get two of these together. So this is really a nice, firm, holding stabilizer. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to pop it into my hoop, which I'm going to show you next week. This is the stabilizer. This is the fabric, the fusible stabilizer on the back. This is the 2 layers of the tearaway that I put together. They're going to go on the back of the fusible, and then you're going to hoop this with your fabric side up. I do have 2 designs that I'm going to show you real quickly. This is the first one, and you do want on the back, take your fix-on pen or whatever it is and just mark number 1. Because once you're going to do 32 of these, and they will go very quickly once you have all your fabrics cut. But you see how I marked number 1 on here? This is number 2, and I left this hoop mark in here because I'm going to show you next week how to press that out. And of course I put number 2 on here. When I go to 3, 4, you know, all the different ones, I will mark them as I go along. So because once you start getting into this, it could be very easy to confuse it. And you're going to put these together. So you don't want to have it done any other way. I started to cut this, but I'm going to explain next week how to do you don't cut anything off of this because this has already had a 1/2 inch seam put into it on one side. You're not going to do that until after I show you the video on the next week because I have a couple of other tips for you. Now, I am going to strongly suggest, like I said, make sure that you are printing off all of the designs, the pages. This is one of the most important one. I know it's a little hard to see it there. I printed on front and back because I don't, you know, you don't need to have every color in there. But you can see it's a little bit lighter and it goes down to 32. You want to know exactly, it's like a puzzle piece. You definitely want to know what each piece is and how it's going to sew. We're not using water-soluble topper. You know, I'm a firm believer in water-soluble topper for any of my other projects, but because of this, you really don't need it. And again, as I get into it, I'll show you. So hopefully you'll order these. I ordered the CD myself, and then I ordered this box of thread. And hopefully you'll get, and if you get that far, then what I'd like you to do is cut out your strips. You should cut out 32 of the 15 by 10 fabrics, 32 of your, this doesn't have to be the full 15 inches. I mean, it does on this side. It doesn't have to be the full 10 inches because it, you know, there's no need to do that. You don't need the whole thing. And so you will want 32 of these woven fusible. And how many would you want of the heavyweight stabilizer? Because what did I say? How many are you going to use in each hoop? Every one of these designs that you're going to make, every block is going to have 2 of them. 32, so you're going to have 64. So I hope that gives you a little bit of fun of some of the projects that we're going to do. This is really a fun one. I hope you'll be excited as I am, but the cutting is essential. So let's hope you're out there getting ready to cut and have some fun. Get one of these rotary cutters because you're going to love them. Thanks, everyone. We will see you next week with some more ideas.